In the studio, we have the one and only Marlo Blue, who's going to be on the phone. We have Dwayne Bradley, who's going to be here sitting having a chat with me. And you know how lucky I am today, man, when you have the big dude in the studio handling the boards for you, El Senor Sandy. Why, man? How you doing, Sandy? Talk to me, Sandy. I'm going to give you the mic right away, dude. Talk to me. What's going on?
That is right away.
I can't hear you.
Surprisingly right away.
I don't even think.
You should be able to hear me.
Let's see what's going on here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Hey, this is like a cell phone call. I have no idea.
That's what it is, man. Yeah, that's what it is.
Like
that's
a cell phone call.
Oh,
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now. Well, look, we're going to have a great show for you guys today, folks. We have a great show scheduled for you today, and it's going to be one of those great things. Anyhow, before I get started, let me tell you what the show is going to be about today. All right? The title of the show today is Don't Blame Biden and the Democrats for Inflation. Women, will you give back your rights? Hey, man, Katie Porter, last night, just before I went to bed, it was like 2:05, and I saw a little tweet from Katie Porter. And when I listened to her tweet, I said, that has got to be a part of the subject of the program. Katie Porter kicked some butt on that one. Hey, folks, did you know more than half of inflation is caused not by all the things they've been telling you on TV? It's not so. And she has the charts to prove it. And you know what? Some Democrats are fighting back, but women, crime, and the economy causing issues. 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. Folks, before I get started with the program, which is a very, very important program, I'd like you to give us a call right now. 713-526-5738. This station, the only independent station funded by you here in Houston, Texas, the only one. We are waiting on your calls for you to keep us being able to give you that good info. We're going to start with the show, but I want to give Dwayne the opportunity to give, Dwayne was one of our past managers out here, the guy that got me on air in the first place. I want to give him a chance to say a few words.
Well, I wanted to welcome you to the airwaves again.
Well, thank you.
It's great to have you back, Egberto, and happy to have you here. Happy to come into the new studio home of KPFT to help out and see if we can get a couple dollars into the pipeline for KPFT, knowing it is the one and only community radio station, powered by volunteers, over 52 and a half years in service to the entire community. What you do with Politics Done Right, what you do here in this noon hour, Monday through Friday, that includes communication, call-in segments from the community, whether it's you or Reverend Dean. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you're in the house. Tuesday, Thursday, Reverend Dean comes in and gets all righteous about things. and it's a wonderful way for the community to plug directly in. We are all members of the community. You're part of the community just by tuning in and sharing a minute or two of your noon hour with us. And we're asking you to go to the phones and participate today during this very important fall membership drive for KPFT. Every single dollar that we raise goes to maintain this broadcast operation here at the Mighty 90. And we need every single one of those dollars to continue. And the only reason we're here being able to ask you to call in and make a donation of $1 or $2 is because someone just like you in days gone by did the very same thing we're asking you to do right now so that we can be here tomorrow, because KPFT kind of lives hand to mouth. Some people live paycheck to paycheck. KPFT lives pledge drive to pledge drive. And what we can raise today is going to pay the electric bill, keep that tower powered up. We're a 100,000 watt broadcast facility in the fourth largest city in the United States. We're not owned by some church. We're not owned by some school. Even though we are the University of the Mind, we are the Church of the Blues on Sunday.
I like that.
It's pretty amazing. Yeah. We are, and we've argued in court, actually, that we should be considered an educational institution because we are. We are also a theatrical institution because we are. It's, the seat in the audience for the Theater of the Mind is wherever you're sitting right now, dear friend. So support that concept with a pledge, please, at 713-526-5738 or 526-KPFT. When you call that number, 713-526-KPFT. When you call it, you'll get a little robot voice. Immediately press number 1. That will take you into the pledge room. The folks will escort you through the transformation process from listener to listener member of Pacifica. It could be a $25 one-time gift that makes you a voting member and, in essence, a shareholder in this entity. It could be a monthly installment, which we really love, knowing that that's what I do. I do $5 a month. My wife does $5 a month. My son does $5 a month. We accumulate that together as a family over time. And that's good for KPFT to know that in an ongoing way, there's going to be a base level of support coming in. And we augment that with the one-time gifts and the large gifts. And hey, we love folks who can afford to do like a $365 gift or a $500 or a $1,000 or two.
And what's the number again?
713-526-5738, 526 KPFT, JAM KPFT. 713 is the area code. JAM KPFT. Spell it, say it, sing it, however you do it. Just get on through, have Siri put you through, do it yourself through the web at kpft.org. Whatever method you use, every single one of you are important to this community. Those of you who can't afford to, we understand that. We know that you're there. We support you, and we know that someday you would like to support the radio station. Until you can, the rest of us will carry you with us. That's what a community does. We get there together. None of us could actually own a full-powered FM radio station in the fourth largest city in America by ourselves. Rupert Murdoch is not a member of KPFT. I don't know, and he would be welcome to, but you know what? Even as a multi-billionaire, he would get one vote for the board of directors. He would not be able to control things. We together do this. We together make the programs. We together power the tower. We together are what it's all about. So make the call that makes it all possible by calling right now, 713-526-5738. Visa, Discover, American Express, MasterCard, cash check, money order, electronic funds transfer, however you want to do it, credit, debit, you name it. The folks there will take care of you. And we really, really appreciate that. Thanks to those of you who have allowed us to be here today by your gifts yesterday. Help us be here tomorrow by making a pledge of support today.
713-526-5738. Please make that call. Okay, today's subject, again, I said, don't blame Biden and the Democrats for inflation. Women will give back. Will you give back your rights? The first thing I want to start with is a message that was sent to me by one of our listeners. He listens to Thom Hartmann. He listens to Politics Done Right. And he said, we need to campaign in three. And he said, when he sent me the note, he said, I created this after listening to Thom Hartmann say Dem should group issues in threes. I attempted to make it nonpartisan, which anybody who listens to Politics Done Right on other shows know, yes, personally progressive, but what I promote is communication among everybody and policies that support everybody. So his stuff was vote your interest. Democracy is on the ballot. Women's right, gun violence, affordable health care. And he kept it real short, something that folks on the right understand. People have a lot to do. You have to give them the bullets, what they need to know about and what folks stand for. Vote your interest. Vote to ensure you are going to be taking care of you and family. Democracy on the ballot. If you don't maintain democracy, you won't be able to vote. Women rights. You have a mother, you have an aunt, you have a daughter. Do you want them living as it was before 1919? Gun violence. As we have expanded the availability of guns in this country, it's directly proportional to the increase in violence by gun in this country. These are arguments, these are discussions, these are debates that are not up for anything but the fact-based numbers. You can put it out there and show how it affects each individual family. And affordable health care, we all get sick. And I don't know about you, but I try like hell not to face the hospital, a doctor, a clinic, or anything. And it's not because I don't need to. It's because it costs so darn much. These are things that should interest us. All right. The first subject I want to cover, though, is about the polls. A lot of people are looking at polls and thinking your candidate is not going to win because they're down 4 points, they're down 6 points, or whatever. What I try to tell everybody right now, go out there and do your part. Go vote and encourage others in your sphere of influence to go out there and vote. This is America. We still have one person, one vote. Whether you're a corporation or not, none of that matters. One person still has a vote. The only thing that has people can control to have more than one vote is to control your minds. Right now in this country, we have too many people who allow themselves, who have leased themselves, who have ceded themselves, their minds to others to control, for which I say, when you listen to Politics Done Right, come with your own mind and analyze what we're talking about to see what is in your best interest. So go out there and vote and take others with you to vote. Encourage others to vote and let them know to ignore the polls. I have fact-based information to let you know that why you should do it. In Kansas was the first state that had one of the first states that had an important vote, a very important vote on the abortion issues, protection of women's own rights to control their bodies. And the day of the poll, as I'm reading the polls, the people who wanted to control a woman's body was ahead by about a point or so. By the time that afternoon was over, that bill failed by 20 points, a turnaround of 20 points. It failed by 19 points. So the polls were off by 20 points. The likely voter model poll, when you have issues on the table like we have today, you cannot trust them. It's not that they're bad people. It's not that they're unscientific. It's that they don't know what variables to look at. What is a likely voter? Who will vote? What is in a woman's mind when she goes in that ballot box and says, I like this person here, but if I vote for this person, does that mean my daughter's rights are gone going forward? Does that mean that my rights are gone going forward? That's what it's all about. Go out there, vote your interest, and take someone or many with you. 713-526-573. That's the first subject that I wanted to cover, but I need to ask you so kindly to please call 713-526-5738. We cannot be out here giving all this valid information. We cannot have these great people here in the studio working day after day after day, not knowing if we will remain in existence, because again, we are member supported. We are supported by the community. We are supported by you. So either go to kpft.org and select an option, Politics Done Right, and go ahead and use one of the many gifts we have out there. And just click, as Dwayne would always say here, use one of your plastics or whatever to
it's fantastic
contribute.
Plastic.
I love that.
Yeah, you got to exercise that plastic. Keep it flat and warm, and use it.
Use it, but again, and know this: you're doing it for a cause. I mean, if you listen to our shows here, I mean, I just got through listening to Rourke, and I'm just enjoying the music, right? And when you just get something like, that was so good, the selection of music. And I opened the studio door, the control room door, and I said, "Hey, Rourke, what really is your format?" And Rourke says, "Well, that's why I like KPFT. I don't have to follow some particular format.
Mm-hmm.
I can give just music.
Follow suggestions from listeners,
Right.
Input from friends, and things like that."
Right. And it turned out to just give you that mix of music that you like, of every flavor, of every genre, etc. Those are the things you can get here at KPFT. And then, of course, we do politics, and you do your show with that great community.
The Open Journal.
Open Journal.
Yeah, we have a great team.
And you guys, the kind of subjects you cover, it's just outstanding. So, folks, please give us a call at 713-526-5738. I have two more important subjects to take, but I'd love to see that first contribution come in. 713-526-5738. And of course, hit number 1 to give a contribution, and then call back again and hit number 2. Come on air and tell me, why is it that you think we are so important? Why are we so important? Go ahead, Sandy, and say a few words.
Last bastion of free speech, the
I like
FM
that.
dial. I mean, this is the real deal here. We don't have the commercial sponsors. Seems like everybody's after a fast buck. You turn into various cable channels, terrestrial old-fashioned terrestrial network channels, it doesn't matter, which are also on cable, incidentally. How many commercials do you count in the course of an hour? And how many times do you see the same commercial repeated back to back? And then you flip the channel and you see it again, pounding the message in your head that you need that pill, that you need that particular gasoline with that particular additive. If you don't have it, you're just not right. And
Sandy,
guess what?
I want to interrupt you for one quick second because you just said something so important. You spoke about
gasoline additive?
No, the commercials. The commercials. we are. I mean, for those who are listening on cable news, they're paying a monthly fee anywhere from $50 to $150 to $200 to $300 for cable. And you just mentioned they're being bombarded. They're paying to be bombarded with commercials, right? And in being bombarded with commercials, they're being bombarded with disinformation.
It's gotten to the point where even the individual channels, you know, at a certain time, if you have your remote and a commercial comes on and you're averse to them, so you just hit, I'll go to what I was watching before. You hit the little recycle thing and switch it. Oh, no, it's a commercial.
It's timed.
Right, it's timed. It's synchromercial.
Yes.
They've gotten to get it's total collusion of the media space, which we're not part of. We're independent, truly independent, because each of our listeners makes us that way. We're not kowtowing to that pharmaceutical company or that car company or, whatever it is that's driving the programming, the breadth and depth and width of the content that you can listen to, that you can watch on any other media outlet, that you can read. It's driven by those folks.
Absolutely.
They don't like it. No
Marcella Wilson, thank you so kindly for that great, kind contribution. Thank you so kindly as a new member as well. Look, we not only do we love that we're getting new members, replenishing our coffers here, but Mark, please follow Marcella. I mean, we are going to get back into some substantive talks in a little bit.
Thank you, Marcella.
But isn't that great when we get new members that, maybe dial surfing or whatever and just decide to come on into the fold?
Yeah, it's really important. And I warrant that, if you are listening to KPFT right now and you're kind of on the fence about it, well, stick around for a little while. And I know that the light bulb will go off at some point. It may be today, it may be this minute, it may be tomorrow, it may be next month or next year. We don't know. But at some point, if you listen to KPFT long enough, some people get this the very first time they tune in. Some people kind of get it a little bit later. Some people never kind of get it at all. But we kind of make an assumption that you are a little smarter than the average bear, so to speak, and that you are going to see the light sooner rather than later and realize when we're talking about how we can only do this together, that we mean you and I, Egberto, Sandy, Marlo, myself, and you, Marcella. Now you will never listen to the radio again in quite the same way, because you will know in a very deep way, like in your heart, you know that when you tune in at 90.1 FM, you helped make this happen for everyone. Your gift to KPFT allowed us all to have the gift of a radio station together. And each time you tune in, it happened to me decades ago. I mean, I don't remember the exact moment that I realized, hey, this is my radio station. I need to support it. And I did. And it was like $3 a month was all I could do at the time. But that helped. Every bit helps. So do what you can. Know that every bit helps. It's not so important what exact dollar amount you give, though we love those large dollar amounts. We love the sustaining gifts. We love folks who can afford to give $25 a month. We love the folks who can only afford to give $25 once, or even have to do monthly installments to make that $25 annual contribution work. Whatever it is, when that light bulb goes off, just pick up your phone, call us up, tap that number 1 button after you dial 713-526-5738, 526-KPFT. Tap number 1. It'll take you to the pledge room. They'll run you through the process. It takes about 90.1 seconds. And it could go a little longer depending on how many different gifts you want to talk about. But if you just want to get in, make a donation, and get out and get back to listening to the radio, knowing that you've done right by the station that tries to do right by you and has for over half a century, well, we thank you for that. And thanks for being so brilliant.
Thank you
Couldn't
so-
do it without you, Marcella.
Marcella.
713-526-5738, extension 1, just like Dwayne and Egiberto just told you all about, because, Marcella is part of the team now. She's part of the group that has said, I love this. This is freedom of speech. This is my radio station. She's made a stand. I've gotten the chance over the last couple of weeks to talk to a lot of you. You've called into the talk shows. You have given us your opinions about what's going on in the world and in Texas, and how you feel about your personal rights. And I appreciate all of it. Everyone has their own opinion. And it's been amazing to hear how the one opinion everyone keeps saying over and over and over again is how much they love listening to KPFT, how much they love the music, and how much they love listening to the different types of talk, and the way we will try and present you with new ideas on a regular basis. I don't know about you guys. We do a lot of things at my house. One of them is called Video Roulette. I'm sure it has another name, but it's always interesting to hear different people all over the world.
Mhm.
Some of them I exchange texts with. There are a lot of people in this world that wish us ill. There are a lot of people that are looking at your personal rights like that should be theirs. And there's only one way to stop it, and that is to be aware of it, to learn about it, to be a part of something that can make a difference and change things. Voting, let's all vote whatever our hearts are. Make them count. I'm reading something from people that I'm trying to get to come on the radio, and this one particular friend says, I want a red wave. I want a red tsunami. I want a bloodbath of epic proportions in the aftermath of which nothing remains of the enemy but the clown caucus led by Sheila Jackson Lee.
Wow. Where did you get that?
This is a friend.
That said that.
Yeah, this is a person that I know well, that I care for, I worry about.
But
But
you know what, Marlo? It's so interesting that you said that, because earlier while Dwayne was just talking
Mhm.
here, was saying, we still have one vote, one person, one vote. But there's so many people know that I don't need to really ask you for your vote. I just need to ask you for your mind.
you,
And if I have your mind, I have more than your vote.
right, exactly. Change a mind, make a mind see the light. It's a different world if we all come together and pull together, and that's what Dwayne was saying. This is the mighty 90.
Mhm.
And the only reason why we are mighty, why we keep coming up from the ashes, is because we all pull together.
713-526-5738. 713-526-5738. Please call it now. Hit the number 1 for a contribution. And if you want to be on air, hit the number 2. Marlo is just waiting to speak to you. And you listen to Marlo's
Well, you
voice.
will.
You want to talk to Marlo a bit too, right? 713-526-5738.
Especially about her friends.
Well, I want to talk to Marlo's friends because, I always like to find some common ground. And as that message that she left sounded violent, right?
A bloodbath
A
is not
bloodbath.
the image in my mind is like, wow, that sounds like a violent person.
But you know what is
I'd like
interesting?
to understand why.
Exactly. And that's the thing, it's funny because Anand Hiradas yesterday on one of the shows, he made the same mention. He kind of believed in the same theory that I believe in. There's something that actually happened to these people, because I've gone to Tea Party events and other types of events, and these are good people. Even her friend, they're likely good people. What happened in their minds? And that's the kind of things that I like to query. And in trying to address these people, many times, first of all, when they see many folks as caricatures, and when they stop seeing you as a caricature, you can then have a conversation. And that is the hardest thing. And I'd like to use, I want to see everybody here at politics. At KPFT, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that we can have these kind of debates. But anyhow, 713-526-5738. Una vez más, 713-526-5738.
520 5738.
Ah, me gusta eso, hermano mío. Me gusta eso. Okay, look, let me tell you something, guys. I'm going to go to the second subject. While I'm talking, if you want to give even while I'm talking, go to kpft.org. kpft.org. I know a lot of people at our channel surfing right now. They hear us asking for a little something and then they say, I'm going to the next channel. Don't, please. We're going to talk about something. Katie Porter, I want to talk about Katie Porter. Katie Porter is a congresswoman from California. You can't call Katie Porter a liberal, a progressive, a right wing or anything. She is a Democrat. But when I listen to Katie and what Katie is all about, Katie is always about fiscal responsibility and doing what's right by your family. So last night, just before going to bed, I'm surfing the Twitter space for the last bit of news that I'm going to get from some of these politicians, and her thing popped up, and it's a video that she did. I thought it was yesterday, but I think it was probably a week or so ago, where she actually put a chart together as far as where the rise in prices are coming from. And if you listen to ABC, CBS, NBC, and all these other news networks, you just look at it as we're in a situation where we had supply chain issues, where we had shortages, where we had a pandemic, and that caused, as soon as people started spending money again, they're out of their house, they started spending money again, and suddenly we have high inflation. And the reason inflation got high is because Biden went ahead and gave all these darn stimuli, and he gave all these pieces of money to people, right? And that's what people have in their head, somehow helping people cause inflation. So that concerns me, first of all. And let me tell you why. Imagine you're saying if people are hurting, if people are in need, and you give them money and they spend that money to buy things of need, and because that creates an increase in demand, somehow inflation is justified because there is more demand for product. That is a lie that you hear on TV. That is the lie that you hear. I mean, even the economic books, which are many times skewed, don't say that. What it says is prices don't go up with demand only. Prices go up if there is scarcity, meaning if I want to buy a gallon of gas, if two of us want to buy a gallon of gas and there's only a gallon and a half, the prices go up because it can, right? There's some sort of a competition. I'm against that to some extent, but that's for another day. But we didn't have that. When gasoline went from $3 to $5 to $6, you could not go to a gas station and not find gasoline. You could always find gasoline. And by the way, we didn't reduce our amount of gasoline we needed because the corporatists knew one thing. They knew that we had money in our pockets. We had the stimuli, plus all the money that we didn't spend during the pandemic, we still had. So the corporatists said, hey, guess what? Americans have money. So what it turned out was they are saying there was supply of money and we are going to take it. We won't allow them to put it in a bank and save it for increasing their wealth or whatever. We're going to take it because they must have gasoline. They must have food. They must have all these things. We will increase the price. And then they go ahead and they tell the news media, the reason that there's so much inflation is because there is demand. There was demand. That part is true. But you know what else we had a lot of? Supply. And for the parts where we didn't have supply, the supply chain that they talk about, I mean, that was another fallacy. Here's the funny thing, Dwayne. What these guys did, right, is the corporatists went ahead and said, okay, we are going to build factories in Taiwan, Vietnam, the Philippines, and all of it because we can get labor cheaper over there. And then if we include the labor and the shipping costs back to the United States, no big deal. We still make more money. Mm-hmm. But here's what else they did. They also said, wait a minute, we could even make a bit more money. If we time the ships that are coming across the ocean in such a manner that we only have to keep up maybe a week or two inventory, we create this stuff called just-in-time inventory. So we don't have to have warehouses with all these things filled with all the supplies that normal business structure dictate back in the past. We don't do that anymore. Ship comes in, container gets on a truck, it goes on a train, it gets to the factory just-in-time inventory. But the first time you have a hurricane, the first time you have a pandemic, the first time you have a work stoppage in Taiwan, Vietnam, Taipei, or whatever, you disrupt the supply chain. That disruption in supply chain creates a shortage, meaning there's less material out there. And that is a legitimate reason to increase the prices under our current economic system. And that's what occurs. But then again, who pays the price? We do. They screwed up by creating just-in-time inventory. They screwed up by offshoring, and we pay the price. And then to control inflation, what do they want to do? They want to say, okay, the federal government, the Fed, not federal government, the Fed will now increase interest rates. Who pays the interest rates again? We do.
You and I.
So we are paying for the mistakes of the corporatists as they make more money from the mistakes that they've made. Do you hear that on MSNBC? Do you hear that? And you don't hear that because that's not how they want you to hear it, Dwayne.
And that's part of the problem that KPFT is, in its small little way, attempting to resolve with programs like Politics Done Right. Because whether it's MSNBC or Fox News, whether it's CNN or one of the local channels, they're all driven by the same corporate mentality. They're all driven by that same profit motive. They're all driven by the 90-day window because everything's based on quarterly profits and returns on investment. We're talking about something a little bit more profound here. The return on the investment that you make at KPFT, that's freedom. That's critical thinking. That's exposure to all of the different threads in the fabric of our community. Because by listening to KPFT across 168 hours in every given week, you will find yourself exposed to all the different elements of our community. Radical, conservative, unusual, or somewhat usual. But none of them are being driven by profit motives. None of them are being driven by sales levels. None of them are being driven by the fact that we can convince you to think this way, vote this way, buy this way, or live this way. We're presenting it all to you, knowing that you're smart enough to sift the wheat from the chaff in your own personal life and come to some sort of critical decision making of your own. There are programs on KPFT. There are hundreds of programs on KPFT. Some of them I don't particularly care for. Well, I don't have to, but I know that they exist. I understand why they're there. I know some of the people who produce them, and I appreciate them standing up for that particular platform, which is representative of a segment in our community. And I honor that because I know that they're getting a chance to use the People's Radio Station to speak and open the window to the community through KPFT and share their voice, just as we get to share our voice here on Politics Done Right, like Rourke got to share his voice on the program he does every day, Wide Open Spaces, just
your program,
just like we do on Open Journal every Monday evening at 6 p.m. All of the different programs on KPFT are elements in the overall wider community that is Houston. We weave this tapestry of sound each week, and in that tapestry are all the elements of our community. Some of them you're going to be really attracted to and embrace. Some of them you're going to be, Some of them you're going to be, ooh, I got to go. But that's the way it is in a family, and we are a community. We are a family. We welcome Marcella to the family. Thank you so much for doing right for KPFT and for yourself. This is not an unselfish thing in a good way, because you're supporting something, knowing that your support is allowing you to continue to appreciate it, because you will continue to have it. And if you want to continue to have KPFT, then we're asking you to support it, because that's the way it works. We singularly, and I've been involved with KPFT directly since 1980. Before that, a little bit when I was in college, but I wasn't living in Houston then. I came here and did a study project about Pacifica Radio in 1974 downtown on Prairie Street before we moved to Lovett Boulevard, our home for over 45 years, before coming down here just last month to Caroline Street at the gateway to the museum district. KPFT has impacted my life in a very large way. And over the decades that I've been involved in KPFT, I've come to an understanding, and I've had my horizons broadened. I've had my mind opened. I've been able to meet and be exposed to people and ideas and thoughts and music and culture and art that I would have probably never run across were it not for the gift that KPFT is to the community. So we're asking you to support that and to support yourself by making a call to 713-526-5738, 713-526-KPFT. Let us know that you're there. Let us know that you care. Let us know you have something to share that you're willing to spare to keep this experiment on the air.
I love how you can make a very serious thing rhyme. I really love that. 713-526-5738, or please go to kpft.org, kpft.org, and select whatever you want. Make sure to select Politics Done Right so we can assign it to the program.
Well, when you go to kpft.org and you tap the donate button, an alphabetical list of all the hundreds of programs come, and you're going to actually get to O before you get to P.
Yeah.
So Open Journal, then Politics Done Right.
Actually, and you can do it to both. I mean, you can write into this because the truth of the matter is this, right? We are just saying that the truth of the matter is all the money goes into one pot. KPFT.
There's one checking account. There's just one KPFT. There's one family.
It's one family.
But we are all, each of us individually have goals that are established. It's kind of a game we play, but it's a very serious game because at the end of the day, when we play this game, KPFT is successful and moves forward, or it's not. We flounder. So please be part of our success.
713-526-5738, or go to kpft.org, kpft.org. Hey, thanks for that. Like I said, I love how you can make a very important message rhyme. That is great. Folks, we weren't done with inflation, right? We wanted to get Dwayne's input in there, which is it's always necessary. Now, the bottom line is this: Katie Porter started a piece, and what she did is she put a chart up on the screen, she doesn't do screen. She actually has physical charts. I love the woman. She has the charts up, and she showed the following. Normally, in times when corporations actually gave the impression that they cared, when we had inflation, most of the inflation came from two places: wages or the price of the widget, the different widgets that built your own widget. So that's where the cost is. The extra cost didn't go into the form of profit, executive pay, etc. Those were pretty darn stable, but the inflation came from what we would call real inflation, things caused by scarcity. In other words, if something is very, very scarce, it has a tendency to have a higher price. Why diamonds supposedly have a higher price, even though the beards in
that's
South
the whole
Africa
story in itself.
kind of hold back. It's not really real, right? But anyhow, so anyway, it's scarcity. But it turns out in this, after the pandemic, 54% of the added price on the products you are purchasing in the aggregate. Remember, that means that like for gasoline, it was 100%, but for other things, it was maybe 30% or whatever. But all of that extra money that you are paying at the grocery store isn't going into Biden's pocket, isn't going into the Democrats' pockets, isn't going into progressives' pockets, isn't going into Republicans' pockets, isn't going into any. We are all slaves to the system. Those few people that control your corporations, the executives and the shareholders of said corporations, that is where in corporate profits, that is where the extra money is going to. And you don't have to guess whether that's true or not. You can turn on the Fox News if you want to hear misinformation. To some extent, you can turn on to other news channels, Newsmax or NEF. All the places are right there to give you misinformation. But this you can test on your own. Go and listen to, let's say, CNBC, the business channel, or Fox Business,
or Bloomberg.
Yeah. Just go to any one of those and calculate the increase in profits they are all claiming when they ring the bell. And then divide that profit, subtract that profit from the baseline that you had before, and divide it into their income that they've made from production, from their products. And you know what you get again? 54, the price rise is at least 54%. Therefore, if things were honest, we would have an inflation rate solely caused by, let's say, the supply chain or otherwise of only 4.2% maximum, which isn't all that bad.
Mm-hmm.
Which we would not have had to, but now we're getting the feds to increase interest rates, which will not do anything for changing prices until it gets us to a recession. Because until we get to a recession, which means that diminished amount of spending and negative GDP for several months, 2 months in a row,
Several quarters.
several quarters. That's, yeah, thank you for correcting me. Several quarters. Unless that occurs, people will continue to spend because they still have money. They're just spending at a higher price and giving more of their money away to the corporatocracy. Don't believe what you're hearing on TV. People, call us at 713-526-5738. If you want to comment on what I've just said, 713-526-5738. Hit the number 2 if you want to talk on air. Hit the number 1 to contribute. I'd love more people to hit that number 1 to contribute, or go to kpft.org, as we only have about 17 minutes left on the show, and we are way behind on the amount that we must raise during this hour. So please, I said I would give a program. We gave a program. Said we'd have great personalities. Dwayne is here
Working
with
on
us.
that.
You know, 713-526-5738. One more time,
526-5738. 526 KPFT. You know, Egberto, I wanted to just make one reflection after listening to some of
Yes.
what you were just sharing. The reactivity of the business enterprise to what's happening in the world it's so reactionary. Like Wall Street is based on this profit motive, and you have people getting scared by a rumor of this, or Elon Musk says that, and something else tanks, and things go up and things go down like a little merry-go-round. And I was driving around town, and I usually go to the same gas station.
Mm-hmm.
And so I frequent this place, and their gasoline was down to $3.05 a gallon. That was the same day that the news had the story about the Nord Stream gas pipeline explosion.
Right.
Okay, so that has no direct impact on the price of my gasoline, but the very next day, my gasoline was 20 cents a gallon more than it was the day before. Because why? Well, they're anticipating that it may become more valuable, but they're going to make us pay that extra price today. And another thing that was on my mind, listening to what Marlo said about her friend who wanted to see a blood red bat. I was going out to visit a friend whose son I was taking care of while they were out of town, and I was driving out the Katy Freeway to Spring Branch. I got off at the Voss Bingle exit to go into Spring Branch, up towards Long Point there. And for the last maybe 100 yards on the feeder road, there's a big empty space that's not been built out as corporate space yet. And it's like one of those old Burma Shave ads where there's a sequence of signs, and they were all red and white, rather large. And they were very much about fear-mongering. They were basically vote out liberal Democrat judges, soft on crime, get rid of the Democrats, do this, do that. The last one said, are you an American or are you a Democrat? And it was a small D Democrat.
And that is psychological warfare.
It is. It's complete psychological.
Let's go ahead and talk to Sean. Sean, come on in. How you doing, Sean?
Hi, good.
Talk to me.
So if what you said was true about inflation and corporate profiteering, then wouldn't that drive the stock prices to all-time highs and drive the stock market up to all-time highs?
I am so happy you brought that up. First of all, let me tell you the magic here, okay? The stock market as it is no no, absolutely no different than the gambling casino. I'd urge you when you get home to look up EBITDA, okay, how they evaluate companies, not based on their asset values, but what they imply or think it's going to make. Now, when we speak about what you just said, the stock market up and until the last 6 months were up decades in percentage rates, right? So all of this, what they're doing right now, and by the way, it will undulate a bit more. The way the stock market work is this: the market makers, the people on the market itself, they go ahead and they actually play the game. So as soon as they hear bad news, they liquidate. It drops like a rocket. But there are people making money as it's dropping, right? And when it's done dropping because there are some errors in the way people think, talk, or whatever, it'll climb again. And in this case, because we're going to be headed into a recession, they are playing the game of people's minds. Everything that I'm saying here, you can corroborate it not only based on stock history, but based on what's happening today. They talk about the inflation rate. If inflation, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So right now we're
Yes.
in second quarter earnings releases,
Yes.
corporate release.
Yes.
If what you said is true, that they're all profiteering off of so-called inflation, maybe or maybe not,
No. There's no maybe there, but go ahead, sir.
then shouldn't their balance sheet reflect this massive profit?
I am so glad you asked that because that, sir.
And then if that was the case,
Mhm.
if their balance sheets were showing that they made all this profit,
Mhm.
would that not reflect in higher stock prices?
No, let me explain. First of all, when you're actually talking about the stock market is forward looking. So the expectation is the windfall that they've had over the last several months has gone. They've already capitalized for that windfall. So the next step that we have down is that the Feds are going to throw us into a recession. How do they throw us into a recession? They're not going to tell folks stop inflation. What they're going to say is, okay, you guys, we can't tell the capitalists what to do. What we can do, however, is tell the slaves, we the people, what to do. And how do we tell we the people what to do? We simply increase interest rates in such a manner that your mortgage goes up, that all these other things, that your credit card rates go up. And when your credit card rates go up, and that's an additional charge, you are now giving back money to those who hold your credit, but you're not buying goods. If you're not buying goods, you then reduce the amount of demand for that goods. And those people who are selling you those goods then say, oh my God, we have all this inventory on hand.
KPFT, this is. Keep listening.
Okay. What was that? Okay. The only way to
That
unload
was Yoda.
Yeah, I guess so. The only way to unload that then was to reduce the prices, and that's how backheaded we are, and how indoctrinated they've made us. In other words, we think we have to feel the pain to solve the inflation problem, right?
So most of what you're talking about on the stock market is speculation.
Yes, sir, it is.
You're talking about speculation.
Yes, sir, it is.
You're not talking about long-term investors, institutional investors that buy IBM stock or stock in massive quantities, and then IBM stock or IBM or Ford or whatever
Mhm.
the corporation is coming out with their second quarter financials showing losses, massive losses, not profits like you're talking about.
No.
They're showing massive losses. And those losses generate into lower stock prices.
Can I answer that about
That
losses?
shows why the stock market is down over 35%
No.
in the last 18 months.
Can I answer the stuff about losses for you?
Okay?
The losses aren't real. Okay? The losses aren't
They're
real.
still on paper.
It's on paper, exactly.
Wall Street investors, institutional investors, look at that paper and decide, are we going to buy stock or are we going to sell stock?
I agree.
If it looks like the price is going down,
Mhm.
the value is losing, they sell.
Yes.
Price drops.
I
If it looks
I
like
am
the
not
value is
disagreeing with you. I'm not disagreeing that
price
that's the way.
goes up, you start buying so you can make money on the way up.
No. But that's
We're
not,
not, the prices aren't going up. Stock prices are going down. So
sir.
if stock prices are going down, that means corporations are not making money.
Sir, that is not true, though. Okay, and that's what I'm saying. That's what you see on TV. Please, you don't have to believe me at face value. Honestly, don't do that. But what I'm asking you to do, however, is not buy the Kool-Aid. What I ask you to do is simply look at, there are parts of a balance sheet you can look at that isolate the false losses that you're talking about. Okay?
There's a whole industry called the accounting industry
Yes.
that is designed to manipulate numbers. To
Exactly.
make the numbers for corporations look as good as possible.
Sir.
When the numbers come out and they're not good.
No.
and
They don't want it to look as good as possible, sir.
That they could to make them look good.
Sir?
They still couldn't.
I got to go to the other call, but let me just tell you one thing. What's your name again? Sean, right? Sean.
Sean, right.
I want you to do me a favor because I got to go to another call and we got to keep doing some little bit of fundraising here. I want to say, Kurt Gerdrum, thank you so kindly for your kind contribution. But let me just tell you, Sean, I want you to stay listening to our program. I really want you to, because there's a lot that we need to uncover with the fraud that is much of Wall Street and the economic system. And we can actually discuss and not debate, but discuss this where we can talk fact-based info. Nothing that you said was actually wrong under the current terms of how the stocks work. What was, however, is that the reality is a bit different. So can we talk at another time?
Let's go, Brandon. Let's do it.
All right. Thank you, my brother. You have a great day, sir. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Brandon.
All right.
I think
All right,
I know
Eric,
where that
come on
call
in,
came
Eric.
From. This is Eric, and he's interested in talking about the same topics you have already been talking about.
Great. Come on in, Eric. Talk to me.
Thanks for your
What's up, my
pledge.
friend?
Yeah, you're
No
on.
worries. Hey, I was just continuing to talk to your corporation bit there that you
Yes, sir.
just to kind of add a different angle to it is that a lot of these companies now, with all the green energy movements and all that kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
SEC coming down and mandating that all the public companies having to report greenhouse gas level 1, 2, and 3, and
Mm-hmm.
all the other stuff, their costs are going to go way up because of that.
Mm-hmm.
And not that means that they should pass those costs on, but another angle to this is a lot of companies, especially the larger ones, you're not going to be relevant unless you have a good sustainability program and team, and they're putting all kinds of millions of dollars into that. But at the same time, the one that I was working for had a foundation that gave hundreds of millions of dollars to climate, to education, to food, all these initiatives around
That
the
is
world,
great.
not just locally.
Eric.
And they have billions that they pile in for this green initiative.
Eric,
So
you are absolutely right. And I want you to call back earlier because we're coming close on my time. And unlike my internet time, this one here is on a fixed number. So look, thank you very much for calling in and giving your comment. But I want you to call back on Friday when we're discussing this, but call back earlier, okay? So that we can really get through the talking. Is that good with you?
sure.
Thank you, my brother. Appreciate the call.
All right.
You have a great one.
You
Oh,
too.
all right. Do we have another one yet? Oh. Oops. There we go. All right. Let's see. Okay. I don't think we have another one on right now. Anyway, folks, please call 713-526-5738. I want to give Kurt Gerdrum a very humongous thank you. I'd like to get a few more before we close out the show. 713-526-5738. 713-526-5738. Now, Sean ended the show with the phrase, "Let's go, Brandon." I think that kind of means like, it would be one of my brothers at the right. And I'd love to get him to keep calling in so that we can really discuss it, because I may change him from "Let's go, Brandon" to "Let's go, America." So that is my expectation. We're going to start saying "Let's go, America." Anyway, folks, call 713-526-5738. We covered 2 of my 3 subjects. But on Friday, we'll try to cover some more if we get more of these calls in so that we can really stop doing all this pitching and do more talking. 713-526-5738. 713-526-5738. I'm not sure how many more. Oh, there we go. I see how many minutes now. 713-526-5738. Give me a little closer there, Dwayne.
Crunch time here. 713-526-5738, 526 KPFT. Kurt, big ups to you. I know you're a sustaining member. You've been doing this for a long time. We really appreciate it. Marcella, kudos for joining the family and coming to that realization. However long it's been that you've been listening to KPFT, welcome aboard. We thank you for that very
Let's
much.
go to Marlo made it red.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I guess it's a mistake. All right, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt you, sir.
No, I just wanted to congratulate Marcella on becoming a member, because studies have shown over decades in public radio that 94% of the listeners will never give $1.
Right.
So 6% of the people who listen give, and many, like Kurt, do it over and over and over and over. You know, and I see names that on the screen that are very familiar to me from having been around KPFT for as many decades as I have. But when I see a new person like Marcella, I have to thank her and congratulate
Come on in, caller. Come on in, real quick.
Yeah. Hey, Egberto. This is short and sweet. It's about the big lie of the voting machines, and
Make it short and sweet.
Hurry up, Bill.
the Democrats have got to focus on the fact that a whole bunch of Republicans won the states that Trump's all mad about, right?
Thank you, brother. I got 30 seconds to close us out, but I appreciate your call. Call us earlier, guys. Call us earlier. We love you.
This is real quick. Let me finish.
We can't. I got to go. I honestly got to go.
Have them expose the fact that they couldn't do, how hard it would be to do what they did, what they're claiming happened, because it didn't. That's all.
Okay, look, I appreciate you, Bill. You keep calling. And please, folks, all of you, please don't wait till the end of the show to call, because we get into trouble out here, people. We get into trouble. Our timing is a bit off. But anyhow, folks, let me tell you. I want to tell you how appreciative I am of all the callers that we've had. All of them. Every single one. Let's see. Gola guest. What is that? Okay, good. Let me just tell you, folks. I want to tell you how appreciative I am of all your calls. I want to tell you how appreciative I am of Kurt, Marcella, Jonathan, Fred, Kathy, all of you. You guys have been exceptional in supporting what KPFT has to offer. So, folks, let me tell you, we cannot do this without you. Call 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-KPFT. 713-526-5738. Or please go to kpft.org. kpft.org. We simply cannot do it without you. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. I am what? Out!
KPFT, this is. Keep listening. You must.
In today's heated political climate, your vote matters now more than ever, and so does your voice. One way to get your voice out there is to become a member of the KPFT community. KPFT is commercial-free and independent because we are listener-sponsored, and we listen to our listeners. We provide you with the opportunity to tell us what is going on where you live, and we want to hear which issues matter most in your community. There are many ways to become part of the conversation, but the best way to keep it going is to become a listener member. Voluntary contributions make KPFT possible. Transition from listener to listener member today. Call or text GIVE.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead, number one, subscribe to our channel, and number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.